So in every game, you have a cast of characters that you're playing with. You have allies that help you accomplish your mission. You have enemies that you fight and force you to get stronger. You have some folks that are there with you for just one quest, and some that are with you for the entire game. Well, your life works the same way. In today's video, I am going to go through your life's cast of characters. I am drawing on 30 years of reincarnation research, and I am here to share with you all about how to make this life a little bit better by understanding the nuts and bolts, including these people you find yourself with. Welcome back to the Reincarnation is a Game series, where today, obviously, the topic is characters. So if this is your first video, I have made several videos breaking down how life is essentially a video game that we're playing. And if we understand the different components, we can actually win the game and make it so that it's not so hard, and perhaps so that we don't have to play it anymore. So make sure to subscribe so you find out about the next episodes that come out so that you can play along with me. Okay, so quick recap. Before we came into this life, we made some plans. There were things that we wanted to accomplish. There was lessons that we wanted to learn. And we worked with our spirit guide to plan out all of these various different challenges and experiences and people in our life to help us evolve as human beings, as souls. So in choosing the life lessons, our homework assignments, relationships are a key way for us to learn those lessons and to work the homework assignment. So before you came into form, you hustled up with your other characters in your game. Now, how did you pick these folks? They played other games with you in the past. So these are former fellow players that are agreeing to play different roles in this game that you're currently experiencing. You also agreed to play roles in their life. There were different things that they wanted to experience. There were different challenges that they needed to have. There was support that they needed to have in your life. And you rose your hand and said, hey, I am happy to play that role for you. And I'm excited that you're going to play this role for me. We're going to do a little bit of an exchange here. So once you had made your agreements, you said, okay, it's time to jump in. And the memory slate was wiped clean. This was so that you could really immerse yourself in the storyline. Okay, so as I go through each of these character types, I want you to think about the major relationships in your life and what category they fall into, and if this gives you a new insight on what that relationship is doing in your life. Okay, so let's talk about your cast of characters. First is your primary party members. These are the folks that you've played the game with over and over and over again and have a particularly tight bond with each other. So first, we're going to talk about your soul family group. A lot of attention goes to your soulmate, that one person that is supposed to be the love of your life. Well, actually, if you zoom out a little bit, you have an entire soul family, and your soulmate is one of those folks. And in fact, your soul family can kind of be seen as your soulmates. You're like a little team, both in physical form and on the other side. You each have different roles that you play in the group. So for example, one person might be the comedian, one person might be the leader, one person might be the healer. Similar to the soul archetypes video that was the previous one, episode 3, I believe. In that soul group, each one of you plays a different part. And you go through your different life experiences and you bring back knowledge to share with the group. So in this soul family, there is, maybe you all agree to work on love in a particular lifetime. And one of you is going to be working on one facet of it. One of you is going to be working on a different facet of it, so that you come together as sort of a study group to share the knowledge and to cross exchange what you've learned so you could all grow together. Now, how do you know who your soul group is in this life? There are going to be people that you as soon as you met them, you felt like you already knew them, that you already felt a kinship with. These are people that sometimes magically come into your life. I know I'm fortunate enough to have a few people in my life, in my soul group. We met as children, and years went by where we had no contact with each other, and then just happenstance sorts of experience brought us back together. So there's like this magnetism with these people that are part of your soul group, and you just feel like you can be yourself with them. There's just a closeness and an understanding that you get to each other. Now, you might not have that soul group in this life. There may be a very specific reason why you chose to do it on your own in this lifetime, but more likely than not, you have some folks that are part of this soul troop. I think also one of the clues is that they have relationships with each other as well, that it's not just a one-on-one sort of a bonding experience. It's also that you see that there's connection amongst the others that really shows you that we're all playing roles in each other's lives as we incarnate over and over again, and as we hang out doing our studies on the other side. Okay, so that's your soul group. They may be people in your life that you feel very positively that you have positive relationships with. They may have chosen to take some harder relationship dynamics with you as well to help you in your soul growth. So they can fall into a variety of different buckets when we look at the character types in your game. So let's first get into the allies, because hopefully your soul group are also your allies. Your allies are the other characters in your life that are cheering you on, that are there for you when things are hard and tough, who really believe in you in like a deep soul level. They know your potential, they know what you're capable of, and they are rooting you on to get through the various challenges in your life. They're like your expedition team, right? It's like you guys are going out on your little quest together and they've got your back. So when that big dragon comes that you've got to battle with it, they're going to be there helping you or providing tools for you or other weapons or throwing rocks at the dragon to distract them, whatever. They're there to help you as you're going through this battle of life. And then that takes us to the antagonists, the villains. These are very important characters in your life. You might not like them in your life. I know I sure don't. You don't like how they make you feel and the drama and how hard they make things in your life. But they are the ones that give you the biggest potential for growth. Think about the video game, right? How do you level up? You often level up by fighting in boss battles, right? There's a character, a big character that you have to go and prove your strength, prove that you've learned and grown in whatever way you needed to learn and grow in this level in order to use all of the different skills you've acquired, the different tools and resources you've gathered to fight against this challenging foe. So, okay, let's take that to your life, right? We're talking about video games, but in your life, I know you have had challenging relationships because you're here in a human form, and relationships, in my opinion, are the hardest part about being a human being. Think about those relationships that were just were so hard, that really drove you crazy. There's something that called upon you in that dynamic that you needed to learn about yourself, how to relate to other people, how to love yourself, or how to be understanding, or how to draw boundaries, or how to stick up for yourself. I mean, the list goes on. I could go on, but it is through those relationships that you were really tested, that you really were given the opportunity to grow, to make different choices. How have the relationships in your life changed you? How have they shaped you? So this is the part that can really blow people's mind, is that these were agreements you made before you came into form. Now, it could be that this soul that you have this relationship drama with, you always have relationship dramas with. You always know you have these challenging dynamic and you come into form again to try to see if you can untangle it. Or maybe you're like, hey, we're always going to have this dynamic, and it's great because it gives us this fodder to grow and change. And eventually maybe we will get to the point where we love and accept each other. Yes. But the thing that is fascinating is that some of these challenging relationships are actually people who deeply love and care for you, that you have actually a very supportive relationship with on the other side. And you knew you needed to have this particular type of a challenge or experience. And they said, hey, I will sign up for this because I love you so much that I want to see you grow and evolve. And so I'm willing to play the villain in your life. Now, the thing I think is really fascinating and beautiful about this is that they do this even though it means they will be accruing karma. Okay? So just because somebody agreed to be an abuser in your lifetime, right, does not mean that they are off the hook karmically. We are responsible for what we do here. When we create a particular situation, a particular condition, we are always beholden to the consequences of that. So this soul that said, I'm going to play the villain in your life, knowing that it's going to cause that person to accrue karma, I think is just really fascinating to shift the way we think about these relationships. And I get it. This might be really hard. People that have played very villainous roles in your life, again, may be people that you've always had really challenging relationships with in previous lives. Definitely true. But there are some folks that signed up to play this antagonist role, this villain role. One of the clues you can find out is, do they have similar relationships with other people? So if they're a very mean person to you and they're mean to everybody else, well, that's what they're working on a soul level. But if they're really mean to you, but they're really loving to everybody else, then that is a clue that there might be a pre-life agreement for them to show up in your life in that way. It's a way for you to kind of shift and change and explore, open yourself up a little bit to seeing this relationship in a bit of a broader context. All right, next we have our quest-specific characters. These are relationships in your life that are only there for a short period of time and yet have a pretty major component to them. That before you came into form, this relationship had a planned beginning, middle, of an end. This was a planned arc. In this relationship, there was some sort of transformation that was available to you. Maybe they were a mentor that was there to help you learn something. Maybe this was one short-term relationship that allowed you to go through a particular process, to learn a lesson, to show up in a new way. In any case, this is a relationship that wasn't meant to be with you through your whole life. There was a particular quest that you needed to accomplish, and that was the intention in this life. So as you look through your life, I'm sure you can identify these relationships that were really powerful and important to you in hopefully really beautiful ways, maybe really negative ways, maybe a little bit of both, because that's relationships. They were there in your game for one particular mission, and it was completed, and so therefore they exited stage left. And then the next group that we're going to talk about are our karmic characters that we planned before we came into form. These are souls that you have had previous incarnations with, you've played previous games with them, and things got out of balance in some way. Like maybe they did you wrong or you did them wrong. Or maybe they gave you all of this really beautiful help and now you're in debt to them and you want to repay that debt. So you want to balance the scales. The universe loves balance, and so do you as a soul. You want to make sure your slate is clean. So before you came into this life, you said, okay, well, how can we clear up some of our karma? This particular life, I already have these plans, I have this lesson, etc. This might be a good one for us to come back and see if we can get into balance with again. Now, in a game, that might be somebody in the village that you have an exchange of information with, or that you help in some particular way. It may be a major relationship, it may be a minor relationship. I have a whole video on karmic relationships, if you want to learn more about those, how they show up, how you can kind of identify if it might be a karmic relationship and what to do about it, check that video out. I'll also link to it down below. So those are all the characters that you planned before you came into this round of the game. But it's not the only characters you play with. You have in-game characters. These are folks that show up that play particular roles in your life to help you with the game, that are part of the gameplay, but that weren't necessarily pre-selected. So let's talk about those folks. Because your life is not completely predetermined. Yes, you planned your life out, but it's not like you planned out, I will do this and this and this and this. It's more that there were different trajectories that you could take. And you came to these different points in those trajectories, which then would shoot you off into other directions. So depending on which way your life path has taken you, you're going to encounter different characters on that path. These wildcard characters are drawn into your life because the vibration that you're at, the vibration that your life is playing out at, and they come in to match that vibration to help you with things. What does that mean? What does that mean? Okay, well, the first one is mirror characters. They're going to reflect back at you something that you are not okay with inside of yourself. And so they give it to you, they give you something to look at so that you can work through it. Now, this could be a part of yourself that you haven't accepted, that is actually who you are. It also could be something that you have a lot of judgment around and don't let yourself be, even if it isn't necessarily a part of who you are. What does this look like? Okay, let's say you are a person who really likes to be in control, but you aren't okay with that. So you suppress it. You try to control your controlling nature. Well, because that isn't in a healthy place within you, you are going to have characters that come into your life that are controlling, that are reflecting it back to you. And these people, whatever the reflection is, whether it's controlling or talking too much, you're going to draw people into your life that drive you crazy. It's going to be something that really irritates you about other people. The opportunity is that this is coming up, and if you can make peace with it, if you can accept this in the other person, it gives you a chance to accept it within yourself. This is what's often called shadow work, right? This idea that there's some shadow within you that you're not okay with, it. It's getting manifested in the external world. If you look in your life right now and you think about, okay, who are the people that drive me crazy? Who drives me crazy? What about them drives me crazy? Take whatever that is and look at yourself. Is it possible that this is showing you an aspect of yourself? Is it possible that you are this way? Or is it possible that you do not allow yourself to be this way? Are you suppressing this energy in some way? I think one interesting example could be around money. Like, let's say you're somebody who identifies as a very spiritual person and you have a complicated relationship with money. You think people who like money or who have a lot of money are bad. And so when you find people in your life that are really financially focused, it really drives you crazy. It's not necessarily that you are a financially focused person, right? Because you don't identify that. But what it means is that you have some sort of a block around money. It's okay to have money. Money is just an energy. The point is for you to see that you've got an area that isn't completely whole, open and free and accepting. So who in your life is driving you crazy right now? Something to think about. So the next character in your game of life that comes in as needed, not necessarily a pre-planned character, is what I like to call a pattern character, helping you do pattern work. So if you find yourself repeating the same patterns over and over again with different relationships, and those can be all kinds of relationships, but it shows up a lot in romantic ones. So this shows up when there's a particular lesson that you need to learn, like a particular quality you need to develop within yourself. For example, let's say you need to learn how to stand in your own power, or remember how to stand in your own power, because it is part of your divine nature after all. But if this is not something that you are very good at embodying in the physical form, you are going to attract to you these relationships that will help you work out this pattern in ways that are usually not so fun, right? As life happens to work out that way. So you're going to find yourself in relationships with people that try to take power from you. They're like the character that's pushing at you and pushing at you and pushing at you on this one particular area until you learn how to push back, until you learn how to stand up. So you'll see this in lots of different relationships in your life, this pattern. It will play out in your romantic relationships, could originate in your family dynamics, in this life at least, in your work dynamic. These are coming up because you're being provided with gameplay to start to learn how to change your pattern. So you get to try it out. Okay, here's this relationship and this person's treating me this way, and now I know I'm working on this particular dynamic. How can I shift? How can I try something new in this relationship? So these characters are kind of maybe not necessarily your boss battles, but it's all those individual challenges that you keep on facing over and over throughout the game of your life that are building those skills so that when you do get to the boss battle, you're ready to fight them. So take a look at your current relationships or previous relationships. Do you have a dynamic that has played out over and over again? And then the next type of in-game characters that will come in for a moment, for a season, and then whisk off again are the wizard characters, what I like to call the wizard characters, or the guide characters. They're the ones that come into your life and sprinkle in some magical knowledge that help you learn or understand or get something in some way. So these may be teachers, they may be mentors, they could be a counselor, it could be, a friend that just happens to be in your life for a short period of time, but gives you some guidance to help you get through something. They are helping you in navigating your life forward, in doing course correction, in figuring out how to tackle whatever this battle is that you're working on. These wizard characters are usually for a short period of time, maybe even so short that it's simply somebody on the bus who said something just at the right time that you needed to hear. Or even somebody that maybe you thought you were going to be helping them, and it turns out that they actually were the ones that showed up to help you. So this can actually be part of their life purpose, that they are there to be drawn in to various different people's lives to help them, because that's how they wanted to live this life, is to be kind of this wizard character in different people's lives. It could also be part of a karmic relationship, that maybe there's a previous history with this person where you've helped them, that they said, okay, I'm going to make a cameo appearance in this life and show up and give you what you need in a moment that you really need it to help you move forward through the next stage, evolution, level of the game that you are playing. Now that we've gone through all of these characters, I am curious, do you recognize some people that fall into these different character types? What have you found? Let's start a conversation and talk about it down below, what the different characters you're finding in your life and how they have been able to help you. Now, keep in mind, too, you are playing out all of these different character roles in other people's lives. So you might be a wizard to one person, a nemesis to another, an ally, a mirror, etc. It might be interesting to look at how you're showing up in the world and the character types that you get to inhabit in other people's games. Because you might be somebody's catalyst. You might be the reason that somebody else is able to be stronger and able to level up. That's not small, that is everything. All right, now here's where you get to choose your next adventure. If you are new here and this is the first episode that you've watched, that's fine. You don't have to watch them in any particular order. You can go back and watch episode 1. But If you're ready for what's next, go ahead and check out this episode where I talk about how you chose your starting location before you were even born. All right, well, I'm glad that you're playing this game with me, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.